Basically, the essence of this evening is for us to all come together on a platform that offers opportunity for us to discuss our challenges and the issues that we all have in common as business owners, as businessmen, as business executives. We all have challenges we are facing indirectly or directly that are personal. And when you look at how business is being run generally, some of these challenges are common challenges. And we felt, let us create a platform in an unusual environment that is beyond us just sitting down and drinking. But at the same time, we all sit down and discuss pertinent issues that affect our individual lives, that affect our corporate lives. And eventually we will form a community of people with good insights and knowledgeable about life. That's basically the essence of the episodes. This is the maiden edition, and we hope to have this every month so that we can all sit down, learn, share, and at the same time connect. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
A greater part of coming together is when like minds from different fields of endeavor share experiences in the marketplace, ranging from challenges, failures, and successes, which inspires others and help them deal with issues. It was a great evening when notable gentlemen from all walks of life, inspired by teamwork, converged at the studio Okpebi, an event titled The Episodes, a night of discovery, insight, and action. In attendance, we had the Chief Press Secretary to the Lagos State Governor, Boyega Akosile, Boss Flip TV Biodun Koluyi Modu Tajuddin, a medical doctor Toye Arodogun, a media practitioner Biodun Osinibusi, Dikpo Oluwasanmi, Toye Arodogun, Biola Fajumbi, Jide Foye, amongst others. It was an evening with interesting conversation bordering on health, media, and business. Experiential hands were called upon to speak on relatable topics, sharing ideas, ideals, and experiences with the apt attention and interest of other members. A resolution of repeated episodes of the event was agreed upon by members who looked forward to the next interesting event.
I'll call on Dr. Momodu Tajuddin, who is going to share his knowledge and experience with us on eye care management.
Okay, so
you're welcome, Doctor.
Good evening, gentlemen. Permission to be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone to this maiden edition. However, being the maiden edition, I can say that we are all trying to level into how this will play out. And set to where we're seated. We've already acted scene 1 and scene 2 outside. So, thank you first of all for the opportunity to be here. I'd like to say that I was mandated to talk about the eyes and what naturally will come around our age bracket. But being the maiden edition, I'm going to try and water my conversation down. It is hoped that we have a bigger house, have a more inclusive participation, and then such that today we just want to talk about ourselves and very briefly healthy living for what we are going through. So coincidentally, I co-run a health management organization, what they call HMO, right? And I have realized there's a huge divide. I've seen people who have medical emergencies and can't cover the money at that time. So I like to really speak about the essence of health insurance and also say to everyone and family members that you have, there are very affordable alternatives. It's not what you really see. I know the Lagos State government is doing a lot in that space and worked with the Ogun State government proud to now. And there are so many very pocket-friendly platforms that can be used. So in the future, I will make available content that everyone can leverage on. I'll make available links that we can easily sign off on. And then hopefully when these platforms becomes very big, we can create a cohort platform where this becomes a group in itself. When it becomes a group, like we all know in insurance, the more the numbers, the more your negotiation ability. So yeah, so we'll create a platform such that every member or your dependent can go to that link, click, and we'll just give you a passcode. There's some IT guy here who can create all of that for us, and I will try and synchronize that with the back end. I'm not here to promote my brand, just pretty much speak about what naturally we'll be going through. Someone said here that Solar has no Ajebo friends. All his friends, we hit the bottles, you know, those of us who smoke cigarettes, and all of that. But hey, the moment we hit that big 4-0, I think that's the least any of us is here. The moment we hit the big 4-0, our organs start to nosedive. Right? So there are certain things we're all going through quietly. Some of us are popping antihypertensive pills. Some of us are, you know, doing so many things for diabetes. Some of us already have prostate issues. Right? When I say prostate, let me just give you an example. If you go and pee, normally when we used to pee, you know, we used to create the arc, right? But you can already tell the prostate is already enlarged. So when you pee, it comes in tiny strings. You need to shake your willy a lot to get the remnants of the urine out. So all of that is going to happen. All of those myths around have regular sex, it sounds very exciting that will control the prostate. So those are 90s we can have on the long run. But more importantly, if we're hypertensive, we're diabetic, there's a huge issue happening at the back of the eye. Right? They say the eye is the gateway to seeing. But what really happens when you're hypertensive is the more often your blood pressure fluctuates, the more damage it happens. I want to say it nicely. Like I said, I'm gravitating away from the original intention for this evening, just to speak very briefly for 5 minutes about health. The moment you are told to take antihypertensive drugs, please, there's nothing like I'm exercising, I'm eating right. The moment your blood pressure spikes, leave on antihypertensive drugs, please. There are so many very good combination drugs that are available right now. Prover, Diovan, and so many. One small tablet, one pop a day, it does the magic. Let's not even say because I go to the gym, I'm working out. No. What happens with blood pressure is every time your blood pressure fluctuates, it widens your blood vessels. That is the damage. So if I plot the chart of every time you took your blood pressure and it fluctuates, every time it goes up, if you sustain up, it does more damage over time. But when it comes down and it goes up again, you know what it does? It will erode the blood vessels slightly wider. So if you have had consistently high blood pressure readings over a period of time, please commence your antihypertensive drugs. Alright? Hypertension causes so many things. The moment you can't sleep regularly, you're having headaches. You are having, you have fatigue. Check your blood pressure. I know someone who's 51-year-old. 2 days ago, they told me he had a stroke. Luckily, he's recovering. But guess what? He said, Taju, I have never checked my blood pressure in my life. He's a regular guy like us. We sit out, he's a party boy, he has a thriving law practice. But you see, he's going to be immobile for the next 3 to 6 months. You know what will happen to his finances, you know what will happen to his family, you know what will happen to his psyche, and guess what? He may never fully recover from the trauma of a stroke. A stroke is called a CVA, it means cardiovascular accident. It is an accident in itself in the first place. That's why, you know, the complications happen. So you see someone saying, oh, I couldn't move the left part of my body. Sometimes you never really get your motor skills back fully. Right? So you see a friend is at a bar, he's drinking, and you see his mouth is slightly tilted. There are little signs you can just easily pick up. But if I bring that back to the eye, when your blood pressure rises all the time, from time to time, the blood vessels in the retina, which is at the back of the eye, they are irreplaceable. So every time your blood pressure goes up, sometimes your capillaries would leak into your retina. So it causes a subretinal hemorrhage. So between the retina and the skull, blood will be seeping into that space. On the long run, if it sits over a period of time, it causes a detachment of the retina. The cheapest amount to do a retinal surgery in Nigeria at Eye Foundation, I used to work with Dr. Hassan, the minimum down payment is 1 million naira. That's the minimum. So let's even say that God has blessed us, we can put that 1 million naira down. Or you can fly, the next day you're out of the country. The prognosis for a retinal surgery is 50-50. Even dependent on your comorbidities, right? And then quickly I'll talk about diabetes. Once you have a positive family history of diabetes, it's simple. Cut down on the alcohol. Beautiful thing I saw this evening was a number of the gentlemen here were drinking water. So that's quite commendable.
It's because it's one deal.
I totally agree with you, right? I'm also saying the consciousness to drink water, right? It's quite commendable. It means that there is the element of wellness we're all trying to imbibe. You know, they say these days medicine is gravitating away from going to the hospital and taking pills and moving to healthy lifestyles. You know, making the right choice for none of that. But hey, who says that even with the right choices, things can happen to you? So hey, gentlemen, I want to thank you and my great friend for the invite. I hope that much later, even when we're acting scene 3, scene 4, I can come with a little more elaborate conversations we can have. Since it's an indoor space, I wouldn't even mind like a 10-slide projection that will be very revealing on what is happening. What I will show the house is data of what is happening to men between 40 and 55 in Lagos State. I'm not even going to go far. I'm going to use data that I'm getting from the patients I'm managing. I want to tell you one very particular scheme I run. I treat Shell retirees on my scheme. I have about 6,000 retirees. So it means that they are usually between the ages of 55 and whatever, right? I can tell you of that number, about 85% of that population sample are hypertensive. 85% of that retiree group, they are hypertensive. And almost 43 to between 43 and 45% are diabetic. But what is even scarier is glaucoma. Glaucoma is like hypertension. It has no sign. You know those days when we were young and our fathers had more than one wife and he woke up one day and couldn't see. You know, or one of the wives woke up and couldn't see. They would say, oh, it was the other wife that sent something. It is glaucoma. The pressure will build between what connects the eye and the brain. It's called the optic nerve. So you know when a broom is tied together like this, all the sticks of the broom are the optic nerves, they are nerves. But glaucoma will erode that bundle and gradually you lose. But what you lose to glaucoma, you can never get back. Alright? I have arthritis as another major parameter that people, once they cross 55, they start, you know, so we are saying, oh, it's hard to lose weight, it's hard to try and jog. But even jogging also is a measurement of your weight and how much your legs can carry. Right? So sometimes we say take brisk walks. We say do a lot of breathing exercises, you know, and what else again? In that same space, we're also seeing a lot of men with prostate issues. So we say eat a lot of raw tomatoes. You know, I've gotten used to, you know, popping tomatoes in my mouth. And before I end the conversation, they say you should fire regularly to your prostate.
They say you will show, or is it?
Are you gentlemen? I don't know. Gentlemen, fire regularly. Thank you, everyone. Oh, sorry.
Last question.
Yes.
You can't teach Japanese.
Apologies, man.
Yeah, doctor, I just thank you very sincerely. This is, and you know, by the way, let me thank the gentleman that, you know, put this together. This is a very good initiative, if you ask me. I mean, devoid of, you know, whether you are APC or PDP, you are this or that. You know, we are all friends, and then we need to look after one another. It's not when we hear that something has, you know, happened to Jide, or Shola is going through this, or Boyega is that, God forbid it. Speaking about prostate issues and hypertension, thankfully, the only thing the doctor told me is that I'm very lucky, because I have a combination of many things, except high blood pressure. You understand? And so we talked about pre-diabetes stage. Do you want to, talk a bit more about, because I had an argument, me, I can sabi to argue small. I had an argument with the doctor, and he said, what's the difference between 5 and 6? And I told him 1. He was trying to impress it on me why I have to start some medication, and I was trying to argue with him why I shouldn't. So he said, but your test shows that you are pre, that means you are almost there. And I said to him, even if I'm not a doctor, at least I did some logic. When it is pre, it means I am not there, logically speaking, right? And why should I start medication when I am not there yet? And he said to me that it's better that I start the medication. And from what I read, if you start the medication, you don't stop. You understand? So I was a bit scared that I don't want to start this routine that I will. And then I asked him, I said, what about a second option? Like, bringing it down, to a level that I don't have to cross to the other side. And he said, okay, well, you have to cut down on this, cut down on that. And I told myself, I said, okay, you could have just given me that option. And that's why I told you, you asked me, I said, I don't drink again. You asked me, I don't need to get, so you want to tell us more about
So I think your position is what a number of us, a number of Nigerians oftentimes grapple with, right? First of all, if you are pre-diabetic, it means that your body, right, cannot even process what is happening inside. There's already a dysfunctional system in the first place, right? So, but what happens normally is you go to the hospital, don't eat before you come. So you do a fasting blood sugar. Sometimes you do a random blood sugar. But gentlemen, there's even something that surpasses both of them. It's called HbA1c.
Yeah.
Now, HbA1c. Your HbA1c will show your blood sugar level over a period of 3 to 6 months. Now, he said once in 3 months. The WHO stipulation is if your blood sugar is fairly controlled, you can do it in 6 months. But if it is bad, you must do it in 3 months. What that will show you clearly is what has happened, your blood sugar fluctuations within 3 to 6 months. If I do an interpretation of your blood sugar, your HbA1c, why won't you give me the glass? So if I do an interpretation of your HbA1c, I will then know whether you're actually pre or you have migrated. But then, however, there's something else you said. Once you can do a number of lifestyle modifications, so you said you cut off red meat, you cut off alcohol, you cut off, even when you want to focus on the white meat, as little as oil that they used to fry your food.
Yes.
I can't remember the last time that they fried chicken for me in my house. Those things are grilled in the oven, right? Sometimes there are little things that we're not aware of. There's one funny electric pot my wife has. You put one tiny drop of oil, it fries a whole bag of chicken. Because the chicken already, or turkey, has oil. So that little oil will make it drip more of the oil, and so when you dry stuff, it also helps you. You also want to look at what the other stressors are. Unfortunately, we say eat fruits, right? Not every fruit is good for a diabetic. So if you are a pre-diabetic, you also want to see a dietitian. A dietitian will tell you, for instance, pawpaw is not good for a diabetic. Orange is not good for a diabetic, right? Mangoes are also not good for diabetics. There's so many other, you know, but then again we say eat fruit, so yeah. But you see, you need to speak to everybody within. Yes, sir. Everybody within those subspecialties, right? It's a multidisciplinary approach they have to have.
Yeah.
You know? So you're talking to your GP, you're talking to everybody in that whole. You will talk to your endocrinologist who will assess your hormones and see how you are processing it. But unfortunately, these things do not come cheap. The cheapest you see an endocrinologist at Reddington, for instance, is 50,000 naira. Sometimes, if it's a call out, you pay as much as 150,000 naira for like a 15 minute, 20 minutes consultation, right? So it's also part of what I spoke about, right? In the future, we will see how we can create a platform for those who do not have access to medical care. This insurance is there, it's very affordable. We can design something that is bespoke to this group that makes it easily accessible to everybody. All you need to do is walk into, what's it called, the hospital and flash the card. So yes, I work with a group that owns Reddington, all right? So I work with Reddington, all of them, and then the newly commissioned Duchess in
Evercare?
No, Duchess International.
Duchess International.
So I work with a group, but we mustn't naturally go towards that group. We'll find what is most efficient and most pocket friendly and most universally acceptable to every element in the gathering. So once again, I don't believe there's anything like pre-diabetes. You can't be pre-diabetic. The moment you are there, you commence it. Just like what I said about hypertension. The moment your blood pressures are consistently high. I'm not saying the one time, there are stressors that can make your blood pressures go up. I'll tell you for instance, the first time I ever registered high blood pressures, I was coming from the club with my wife. And close to my exit, I slept off and I crashed 5 cars. So it was the airbags that woke me up. And then the next day I went back to work. That was the biggest mistake. I didn't take time off to rest. And then I noticed that I had headaches. And I saw a cardiologist who said, well, start this thing. I did not check I was checking my blood pressures. I didn't start using drugs for the next 5 years. But I have a tiny pill I pop every day. When I pop that pill and I do my morning walk, sometimes I check my blood pressure. It's so low, I'm scared. So the cardiologist says, Taju, you are registering 95/60. It's not too bad. If it's lower than that, then there's a problem. So the lower our blood pressure, the better for all of us. Right? I answered your questions.
I hope you ask a question. You want me to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask, but I think let me start from the more trivial one. Why would you, as a medical doctor, smoke cigarette? You're the second doctor I'm going to ask. I want to see if you guys think alike.
There's no way to glamorize smoking. It's a bad habit in itself. There's no right way of doing the wrong thing. Most of us medical students, we got into smoking in medical school. I'll tell you something, for instance. I left home when I was 16. Went to school at Benin, I went to Uniben. Did year 1, it was all academics, so I excelled. The very first day, it was an anatomy class, they said we're going to do cadaver. And they put us in a lab like this and they shut the door. On the table was covered. They told us this whole thing, but the first person you are seeing is one huge dead guy. I'm 17, I'm made to dissect the lower limbs and study what it is. Right? So you come off your hands and smelling formalin. In government schools, they won't ask you, they won't allow you to wear gloves. You're dissecting sets, you go to hold that dead body like this, they cut them. The set before you have used that same dead body. People faint in those spaces, right? I knew a girl who said she literally, they had to open the doors for her to go. But for me, I stepped out and I saw my guy, sitting somewhere and smoking. He said, pass, puff, puff, puff. And then, how many years down the line, I'm still smoking cigarette, right? But then again, I have never been a chronic addict. I'm a social smoker. I smoke only when I drink. So you won't find ashtrays in my house or in my toilet. I don't have to go downstairs or hang on the balcony to smoke, you know. But like I said, it is a bad habit. We have a good percentile of doctors who also do not smoke. I've stopped cigarettes for 10 years straight before, 5 years straight before. You know, sometimes you just go and you go on a trip, you meet some crazy people, and this evil thing pops up again.
He must be a human being like you.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Please sit down.
Call on Mr. Ola. He is a chartered accountant of repute, like he introduced himself, and is an hospitality industry investor, like he called himself.
Yes.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Diko Oluwasomi, so you can call me Ola. So that's where you have the Ola Dipo. But I prefer Dipo, so that's why I say
Thank
Dipo.
you, sir. I've noted it.
I would like to mention a few things about finance. I know we are all used to that, right from our upbringing, probably when we start going to school. Because without resources while going to school, you won't also enjoy schooling. Say when you're going to school, when you're in primary school, you need to be given a token by your parents to school, just to buy some things to keep body and soul together. Maybe you buy fruits and things like that. So your parents at that time are also financing you in school, payment of school fees and things like that. But now we're adults and we're doing businesses. For example, I've seen outside meeting people, I've seen a lot of people into events, media, things like that. What are the areas that we really need to really focus on? First, in finance, what is very key is setting processes and procedures. Briefly, we discussed outside with someone, and he said he got somebody, and the person started misbehaving, blah, 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 blah. Most of the times, SMEs or businesses are just coming up. We bring a lot of things on board with our processes, and in the long run, it tends to affect the business. But when you have processes in place, you save like more than 60% of your funds invested in business. Because when you are starting up, apparently maybe you are working and you have an idea that, okay, you want to break away from what you are doing. Your first source of income will be your savings from where you are working, and you are keeping it. And partly maybe you share that dream with your wife, you also pump in some money and some friends. Because in Nigeria, you cannot go to First Bank and say, I have an idea in my head, I want to build a Troy studio. No bank will bankroll you. You understand? Tell it anything, no bank will listen to you. They want to see it in reality, because if it is not written, it's not existing, the bank cannot place their hands on it. So you start with your capital. Now, you have the idea, you have the vision, everything, you put it into, practicality. The structure is there, everything is there. But if there are no processes in place first, then that business in the next 2 years at max is going to collapse. There are what we call going concern issues. Because your staff might come, maybe you've not defined for them when they are supposed to come, what they are supposed to do, the manager what he's supposed to check, and all those things. They are not, you might see the processes as not being cash, but these are what protects your assets that you have used your card to invest on. Another issue again in businesses now, these days, is we are all exposed. There is nowhere you can run to. if FRS is coming, LRS is coming, in terms of tax and reporting. People who want to start businesses most times also make mistakes by rushing to start with limited liability company. I tell them that it is wrong, because there are a lot of things associated with business limited liability companies. Reporting, statutory reportings, you need to file with CAC at the end of the year. There are penalties. Government will not come to you year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. They might come to you year 7. You understand? And each year has its own fee and penalty for not paying. I'll give you an instance. In Rivers State, a business failed to pay business premises for 4 years. The penalty for not paying per year is 1,000 naira per day. But ask me how much is the business premises permit? It's 20,000 naira per annum. But the penalty for not paying is 1,000 per day. So if you have 365 days, you have 365,000. Let's even say, okay, we want to net off weekends. Maybe you have 243 days. You understand? So you are paying 243,000 times the number of 4 years. It's like 800 and something, almost close to 1 million. And they will calculate your business premise for those 4 years at 20,000, 20,000, that's 4 years, 80,000. So you are paying like 1,080,000. So complying, you are just paying 80,000. For not paying, you are paying above 1 million. That is just one of it in terms of tax. Like this business now has to, we are Troy Studio. Troy has to pay business premises permit to Lagos State government. You understand? If he fails, the penalty is huge in Lagos. Now again, we said, okay, we fẹ́ account and come run. You understand? The limited liability account. So you now push money from your personal account and take it down to your limited liability company. Meanwhile, the limited liability company, you've already registered the name with CAC, but the physical business is not already in existence. But you say you don't want the account to remain dormant, and you are pumping money on that. It will lead to double taxation, because FRS will see it as a different thing. You understand? They will ask you. So if you say, no, I'm pushing money from my personal account to my business, I'm using it to do this, blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of documentations. Okay, give us the audited account of the limited liability company. Now, for your personal account, again, they will ask you, where is your tax clearance? Your personal income tax clearance? A lot of things, you know. So, that mistakes we need to avoid, pushing money from personal accounts to limited liability company. Now, another pitfall again that businesses should also avoid is we merge we have mostly one current account, which is wrong. You need to have a current account and a sub-current account. You want to control your business fully. Your sub-current, if you are taking decision, maybe you want to buy a vehicle, you want to pay salaries, you want to do that, you can pay from your main current account. But as a business owner, you want to ask your accountant, print me the sub account. Let me see how much I've made so far for this year or for this period. But if they give you the main current account where you do all this, your expenses, you are disbursing, you are doing a lot of things, it might be tedious for you to look at it. Yes. Because you are saying debit, credit, reversal, all those things, and you lose interest. But when you have your sub-current account, you can see just one leg that is there, and you will tell the bank that no charges should enter that account, and the bank will not charge you. So the only disadvantage is that, like, you don't have access to the money today, but you have access to it the following month. So you can run January to October and see that I've made 200 million. You understand? At a glance, no charges. The only thing that you see in that account is how much that is being swept into that main current account the following day. But a lot of business people merge this together, and it gives a lot of give rooms for maybe your young accountant that you employ to also manipulate some things for you, because you will not be able to check thoroughly. Another one again, that small businesses or businesses are just thriving. A lot of us also don't want to pay for services. You understand? It is more than crucial now that in the area of finance, you need to understand the current things in finance. For example, now you must do your VAT returns, which is very compulsory. You understand? VAT returns. For example, if you are in media, you have a VAT input, you have a VAT output. Your VAT inputs will come in from your, maybe the other media houses that you are doing business with. Let's say you are a media buyer. A client gives you to run a campaign, and you go to radio station, like my brother said, 107.5. You understand? You go to other radio stations like that. You send your media purchase order to them and say, this is what I'm doing. Now, at that point, when say 107.5 is giving you their billings, they will add their input VAT on it. That's your own input. When you are issuing your invoice to your clients at the end of the month, that this is the campaign, this is how much you have run, and blah 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 blah, that is your own output VAT. So you net the two together. The output VAT is always greater than the input VAT. But there is also a way in which you can save all that, because it's also cash flow like. You are spending more, giving government more out of your billings. But there are ways we reclassify these things so that at the end of the day, you pay lower VAT, net VAT to government. So if it's not well structured, you'll be doing out a lot of cash to government. Then in this area, another one again is the withholding tax. Don't forget that your clients will also retain some element of your income. That means you are paying income tax in advance. And if you tell maybe FRS come and say, you are not doing business, so you are not, they won't argue with you, because they have all the activities that you have done in their portal. They will run all your withholding tax that has been deducted and remitted by your clients to you, and just got it all by 0.5 and say, this is the income that you have generated. You understand? And maybe in that income, in media business, there are a lot of shenanigans that goes on. You understand? And you collect something from my brother in 107.5, say, run the campaign, drain it, because government does not recognize PRO. You understand? It does not recognize PR. So the only thing you can do, you understand, if such is happening, also is, Baba, can you give me something as, okay, you are the one that helps us to do this business, facilitation fee. But if I'm paying this facilitation fee, I will take away 5% also for government. You understand? So that at the end of the day, you are not bearing the PR element that you are paying to the spokesperson, because he's gone with the money. You understand? So if you don't have the proper documentation from his own side, you will be losing a lot of cash outflow to government, because they will come and it will resolve into a lot of problems. Then on the last note is, most times maybe businesses in their embryo, you understand, we shy away from having proper accounting system, which is wrong. You understand? No matter how, I tell people, I said, the cost of not having an accountant or a bookkeeper is so high. Let me give you an instance. Okay, you only give them your bank account. In your bank account, you have in your head, okay, I've only made maybe 30 million, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, you have run businesses into like maybe 2 billion. FRS boys also want to make money for themselves. They will give you what we call self-assessments, first draft, and say, from this 2 billion, you are supposed to pay 300 million. Because there are some transactions ordinarily that do not qualify for some calculations, but because you have not structured your system, you understand, properly to know which one is which. So 300 million, I can't pay now. What do we do? Okay, if you don't want us to do that, we'll do 20 million to government and you give me 60 million. Please, what is the cost of employing an accountant or a part-time, finance professionals? You understand? And you pay that 60 million, you think the person has done you good. But ordinarily, you understand, you have become, an avenue to make money because next year they are coming because it's a cash cow business. But when your books is properly documented, you understand, you can tell them no, you can argue, you understand. I'll give you an instance, demurrage charges was incurred by this company, what they call it, down Acme Road. They produced this carton that we use in our Five Alive, Chivita, Tetra Pak. Tetra Pak paid demurrage to the tune of almost maybe 2.something billion naira. And FRI said they are not going to accept demurrage charges. Truly, in list of disallowable expenses, demurrage charges is not allowed. But who collected the demurrage charges? It's federal government. You understand? Everybody knew that our port is congested. There is no good that you bring into the country today. You pay demurrage. Because there are backlog of things that are not clear. I will tell you authoritatively that Picnic, when they want to start this their yogurt, they abandon more than 10 containers into the port. They've not gone there up to today. Because the port was dilly-dally in terms of clearing, and this thing has a life shelf. So they abandoned it to the government. And what they did was to import by air freight, because the launch date is already by the corner. So they need to put something to the market. They have to air freight new raw material for that product. If you go to the ports now, you see a lot of abandoned things that people, you go there and look at, if I bring in this, it's crazy. You understand? That there is no how Nigerians can buy it, considering the FS cost. So what Tetra Pak did was to take FRS to court. They took them to court. And in 2020, December 2020, the arbitration courts that handle taxes, demurrage is an allowable expense since it was paid to the federal government. You understand? That FRS has not demonstrated that the demurrage was as a result of Tetra Pak not coming to pay, because they are paid duty when they notify them that goods is available. They did all those things. So imagine 2.something billion being disallowed in their expense. Please multiply it by 30%, and you also pay education tax on that 2 billion. It's a whole lot of money. But, and my bill is 1 million naira. 1 million naira. Why would this guy collect 1 million naira from me? You understand? Because you cannot feel it. It's intangible. Yes. But in the long run, it goes a long way to save you. You understand? A lot of stress. At that point that you are doling out that money, you might not see the benefit. First year, second year, but I can tell you in the third year, you will see. A friend of ours, Jide knows him, Smarter, talking of Festus. He's running a big appliances business, so many shops across the state, even outside Lagos. And a lot of people invested in that business. Even this guy that ran for governor in Anambra State, this just concluded election. Valentin Ozigbo, or something like that. Got to a point, if not for the fact that the two of them were classmates, first class graduates in UNN together. Being a shareholder in that company, they will have sacked him that year. I had to call him. I said, you see what I'm saying? Let's recruit somebody that your budget fits. And also, let's put in an accounting system that you can see every morning when you come. You just press 2 buttons, don't do too much. Press this button, boom. You understand? You see whether your people across all the locations, what is their sales, is on your table. Then, what does it reflect in your bank statements? You are the one getting alert now, so you can run your bank statement on your system. So system said, we have sold across all locations 30 million. How much do I have in my bank? If you see 25 million and your system says 30 million, then you ask who approved 5 million credit sales. You understand? You begin to ask questions. Unlike when you wait till the end of the month and credit sales have risen to maybe almost 50 million. Some staff will have resigned and go away with your money. You understand? So there are a lot of things that as businessmen we need to put in place. Finance, just like the blood that flows in our system. Finance is the blood in any organization. It is a way of sourcing for the money, and the utilization of the fund. Finance help you to manage such activity. So in summary, not to take time, we want to look at, every businessman want to look at processes. And processes means you are putting accounting processes and other processes in play, like your HR policy, your supply chain policy, everything, no matter how. You understand? It's easier now on the net that you can buy processes. You understand? And give it to your staff, like staff handbook. These are the handbook. Most people, we don't have handbook. Where should they resume? They don't know. What is their addressing? We don't know. All these things dovetail at the end of the day to affect the capital of the business. You understand? So once you put in place processes, let it combine with your accounting system, then ensure that your statutory reporting in terms of tax compliance, all those basic things you are complying. If you are running a shop in Lagos now, you are supposed to pay local government. Yes, as little as it is, you are supposed to pay. You understand? Government doesn't come, if you see the levies that local government is supposed to collect, if you are using a bicycle in Lagos, you are supposed to pay for bicycle permit. TV that is here now, local government is supposed to come and collect TV permit. They calculate it by the number of TV that you have in this entire building, and they are supposed to collect that. But okay, if you are not paying, who is helping us to calculate such TV and say, okay, TV permits is, we have 20 in this whole Troy studio. We are supposed to pay 1,000 per annum, or let's say 1,000 per month. So 20 times 20, 1,000 naira. That is 20,000 naira in a month. Okay, we put it as we debit our P&L and make provision in our balance sheet. It's not that you are paying it out, but when they come, you have a full visibility of what is your liability to the local government. You understand? So all these things is what we need to put in place. Then when we talk about financing, you understand? Some banks now are more friendly, you understand, in areas of financing. For example, I've not used it. I've met some young business guys who have said, okay, they go to Sterling. That's what they call Spectre, that they can get up to 5 million. You don't need to go and bring your grandfather or anybody. You access the loan within just 1 week, and the rate is friendly. You understand? Instead of 26%, you are getting maybe 16, 17%. But that is also good when we are getting 16% loans. You understand? For example, I tell people, I said, even unless you are in politics, it is good for you to be building houses. If you build 10 houses, you understand, with free fund, it's okay. If you go to the bank and build such houses, you cannot recoup the cost of that house in the next 20 years.
Till you die.
Let's be practical, you understand? So there are a lot of, when you see, well, that is why we are building collapse and things like that. The real estate guy do a lot of shenanigans. You understand? You buy a duplex for 40 million. You understand?
You want to build a 20-story building.
You know, I'm not even going there. I'm just saying all this little something. You understand? A compromise so that the cost is cheaper and they can recoup. If you build your house yourself, you understand, You know how much you build to build a 4-bedroom duplex. You understand that? It is not 30 million. So if somebody is now offering you 30 million, then you know that something is a big fish. You might be sleeping one day, the whole house collapse. You understand? So taking a short-term loan for a long-term project is not the best. But you can take such loans. For example, now maybe Shola need to auger up his working capital. Maybe he need to buy stock because we are in the season and blah 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 blah, and he sees that it's going to move. Then such loan can be taken. But what is also the return of investment in that working capital? Am I going to get almost 25%? Because there is also additional costs of fund to that fund. Don't forget that we are going to pay staff. You understand? Security. So many things are involved. You understand? That goes along. If you buy the stock, you understand? People is going to sell. The person who is going to sell at the end of the month will collect. So can you cover up? You understand? The cost of the loan when you take it from the bank. So I will just summarize by saying that let us know that we all need finance professionals in our businesses. You understand? Don't let us run our businesses in our head. Let us learn to, even if you don't have accounting system, let somebody maintain a simple Excel for you. Give me daily sales report. You understand? What do we sell today? You understand? Just, there is an Excel that you can design. You understand? Begin, when you come in the morning as a guy, before 10 o'clock, it's already printed and it's on your table. You've seen the sales. You understand? Okay, what purchases did we make? You understand? When you are making your purchases, do we have a form that our people fill, or we just buy things without record, no receipt? Because in most instances, we don't have receipt for small businesses. But when you give a voucher, let's say petty card voucher, and say transport to Ikeja to buy fuel, and the manager signs, you understand? And Oga Patapata come back maybe at the end of the day and see, okay, these are the expenses assigned. Because if you go to filling station now and say you buy diesel, and say for many receipts, you look, they'll be looking at you. What do you mean? Which receipts? We don't have receipts now. You understand? If you don't want to give us our diesel, in some instances, you can go and buy petrol 2,000 naira and say write receipts. It looks somehow odd. But if you have our own small documentary processes that says, okay, payment for fuel, you understand, 2,000, you understand. And if we are not giving it out in cash, if our narration from our transfer to who we are giving and say payment for fuel, and when another person comes to read, you will see that, okay, your voucher reads payment for fuel.
Yeah, the first question is,
you don't need to fund your sub account.
where is the money coming out?
The money is coming from your daily proceeds. You understand? Your daily proceeds is what you sell today. You understand? Go to that sub account. It's called non-checking account. You don't have checkbook, you cannot have ATM, it doesn't have anything. The instruction you tell the bank is sweep that money into my account A. You understand? At the end of the day. So the disadvantages are like you cannot access it immediately.
But you said something earlier. You said in a year you can look at how much have I made this year.
Yes.
You should understand that your proceed is not, all of them is not your profit. So I was trying to get that clarification, like the sub account is where you cut your profit. And again, you know, you can't instruct one bank. Let's assume you have 4 different banks. Are you going to instruct those 4 different banks?
You can
to
they do it.
to one account?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Most, if you see most big companies, that's what they do. FMCG. Because it is the reconciliations that they do. You understand? If you have an accountant that is doing like 16 banks reconciliation, it's tough work for him to reconcile where you are putting debit, credit, you know. But it's easier when that funds move from your sub account to your main account. And from your main account, you are paying your salary, you are paying your rent, you are paying so many things out. You can determine you as a person. You don't have that luxury of time, you understand, to see, to look at, if they print your January account for your statement, it might be like 4 pages. But if they print your sub account for you, you understand? What you are looking at, okay, I'm saying 35 million, okay, I've gotten a lot, almost, in your head, close to that range. You understand?
You can only see your turnover, not your profit.
No, the essence of keeping a sub account is not for you to manage your profit. It's for you to see your turnover at a glance.
Okay.
You understand? Not for profit or anything. It's to see your turnover at a glance. Because if you have, this bulky statement in front of you, you'll be tired. You understand?
So, coincidentally, I think the bulk of your speech, I think, was directed at me. And I don't want to think that I'm the only one here. But can you speak to those of us in the healthcare industry? What are those tax exemptions we have?
Okay.
So, for instance, I'm made to understand that we do not pay VAT. Right? Am I right about that?
You are correct.
So, are there any other tax exemptions that being a hospital?
Back to your bank, that's open a sub account to your main account. So that is just structure. That's all.
So you can have in a bank and have it on
You can have as many as you want in other banks. You understand? Just say,
and all of them can remit to the account.
no, you must be, your sub account to be in the same bank. You understand? You cannot have the sub account in Union Bank and you expect it to pay FCMB. If your main account is in Union Bank, account A, then the account B, tell them is so. So you tell your sales rep or whoever is managing, collecting money or banking for you, and say, don't pay into account A, pay into account B. You understand? Thank you very much.